Good morning. I'm Haley Ficasello, and this is your Englebrook Independent News Federal Crime Report. Today, we are reporting on multiple federal cases announced by the U.S. Attorney Office for the District of Connecticut involving child exploitation, financial fraud, and neurotic trafficking. All information in this report is based on federal court records and official statements. A New York man has pled guilty in federal court in Connecticut after using social media platforms to exploit multiple underage girls across several states and abroad. David X. Sullivan, U.S. State Attorney for the District of Connecticut, announced James Pagor, 27, of Middletown, New York, pled guilty in Bridgeport before Carrie A. Dooley to multiple federal child exploitation charges. According to court documents, in October of 2024, Pagor began communicating with a 15-year-old girl in Connecticut using TikTok. In December of 2024, the victim informed Pagor of her age. Despite the disclosure, the communication continued and escalated. In January of 2025, Pagor traveled to Connecticut on at least 3 occasions to engage in sexual conduct with a minor. A forensic examination of the victim's iPhone in February of 2025 revealed hundreds of sexually explicit images and videos of the victim, along with more than 11,000 text messages and more than 300 iOS and FaceTime calls between Pagor and the minor. Federal prosecutors state that Pagor instructed the victim to perform specific sexual acts, including sadistic conduct and attempt to recruit the victim to involve another minor. The investigation further revealed that Pagor exchanged sexually explicit messages and images with additional minors, including a 15-year-old girl in the United Kingdom, a 15-year-old in New Jersey, and a 16-year-old in Florida. Authorities say Pagor initiated conduct with thousands of minors through TikTok and Snapchat. In March of 2025 alone, he sent sexually explicit messages to approximately 600 Snapchat users believed to be a minor, and sent explicit images of himself to at least 68 of them. Pagor has been detained since his arrest on March 19th of 2025. He pled guilty in receipt of child pornography, enticement of a minor, and traveling to engage in sexual activity with a minor. Those offenses carry mandatory minimum prison sentences and a potential maximum penalty ranging up to life imprisonment. Sentencing is scheduled for May 8th of 2026. A former Connecticut resident has been sentenced to more than 7 years in federal prison for operating a multi-million-dollar investment fraud scheme and committing tax evasion. U.S. Attorney David X. Sullivan announced that John A. Mazzotti, Jr., 71, of Bonita Springs, Florida, has been sentenced to New Haven by Victor A. Bolden to 90 months in federal prison, followed by a 3-year supervised release. According to court records, Mazzotti formerly lived in Darien, Connecticut, where he owned and managed Middlesex Mortgage Group, also known as Middlesex Group LLC. Federal prosecutors say Mazzotti falsely claimed to clients that their money was pooled and invested in foreign currency and other financial instruments. Between 2016 and 2023, he defrauded 14 clients of more than $4 million, using investor funds for personal expense and to pay return other clients. Investigators also determined Mazzotti provided clients with fraudulent monthly account statements showing fake profits. In addition, Mazzotti failed to report more than $3 million in income to Internal Revenue Service over multiple tax years, resulting in nearly $1 million in tax losses. Prosecutors further stated that Mazzotti made false statements to FBI and filed false records in an attempt to obstruct the investigation. Mazzotti has agreed to pay more than $4.3 million in restitution and to cooperate with IRS to resolve all outstanding tax liabilities. He was arrested in May of 2024, pled guilty in October of 2025, and is scheduled to report to federal prison on March 19th of 2026. A Preston man has been sentenced to 7 years in federal prison to distributing child sexual abuse material. David X. Sullivan announced that Joel Hutzman, also known as Jay Hutzman, Joel Fesher, and Jay Blackburn, was sentenced in New Haven by Victor A. Bolden to 84 months in prison with a 10-year supervised release. Court records show the investigation began on June 2022 after an undercover officer in Ohio observed Hutzman posting child sexual abuse material in private Kik group chats. The case was referred to Connecticut State Police, and KIC submitted a cyber chip to the National Center of Missing Child and Exploit Child. A court-authorized search of Huntsman residence in November of 2022 led to the seizure of multiple mobile devices containing child sexual abuse images and videos. Huntsman has been detained since January of 2023 and pled guilty in September of 2025. A Bridgeport man has been sentenced to federal prison for his role in supplying fentanyl to an open-air drug market. U.S. Attorney David X. Sullivan announced that Christopher Santiago Rosado, 32 of Bridgeport, was sentenced in New Haven by Victor A. Bolden to 60 months in prison and 4 years of supervised release. According to the prosecutors, the FBI Bridgeport Safe Street Task Force and Bridgeport Police Department investigated narcotic trafficking near Noble Avenue and Shelton Street. Between March and September of 2024, investigators conducted 11 controlled drug purchases and used wiretap and surveillance to identify suppliers. Santiago Rosado pled guilty in November of 2025 and is scheduled to report to prison in March 26 of 2026. Those are the latest federal cases for the U.S. District of Connecticut. For continued coverage of federal prosecution and public safety matters, stay with Englebrook Independent News. I'm Haley Ficasello.